Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Caleb with Hunter Boys Outdoors. So glad to see you today. Glad you can make it out. I got a very special guest here today. Great friend, great outdoorsman, Mr. Jake Walters. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Oh my God! We'll just start over.
Okay, we'll start over. Just leave it all on.
Yeah. You owe me. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Caleb with Hunter Boys Outdoors. Hope you're having a great day today. And I'm absolutely beaming with joy because this is our very first podcast. And I don't know why. It just makes me so happy to finally be able to do this. And I'm actually getting to do this with one of the greatest human beings on earth, Mr. Jake Walters. What's up, dude? How are you?
Oh, I'm good, man. Super excited to do this podcast. It actually takes a lot more work than you would think it would take to do a podcast. I guess because we have video involved with this, which it looks fantastic for what we have. And just excited to kick this thing off and, hey, get rolling.
Dude, you are right. The amount of work that this takes, dude, hours. Literally hours setting everything up, setting up lights, computer, whatever. And that's just the surface of it. Oh my gosh. Anyway, but man, we're here. We're excited. So I wanted, especially since we're going to have, we're just going to sit down and have just a conversation literally at the table. Man, the beginning. Where did it all begin for you, man? Like what has got you from this point, or from the beginning to now? Like with being outdoors, with being who you are, because you're married, you got wife, you got a wife.
I got wife, yes.
So, and then you have, your son and your daughter. And, so kind of tell us a little bit of the backstory of Jake.
So, growing up, I always enjoyed the outdoors. I go fishing with my dad a lot, and unfortunately, I never got to do a whole lot of hunting. But I was always interested. I just didn't really have the avenue to do it, nor the equipment. And so, went most of my life just playing sports and fishing when I could, and working outside. And finally, let's see, I guess I did go into high school. I went, did a little pond hopping on some private land, and we got some stuff, but that was back before I could even identify duck species, And so I've come a long way since then. Graduated high school, went to college, did the college thing, got out, or finished up, joined the military, and then came to Tinker, and that's where I met this lovely fella. Yeah, not you, the guy behind.
dude, didn't we meet over some furniture?
Yeah. So I guess we found this nice pecan wood furniture set for our bedroom from these new residents on Tinker Air Force Base, and came over to pick them up. And it was funny because I remember leaving, and we're like, wow, that was the first normal couple that we've met since we've been in the military. And it just went from there. It was funny. We eventually got back with the Morrisons and started hanging out, and I expressed my desire to get out in the woods and get into hunting and stuff, and I thought it'd be a good time to start. Well, here's the guy that kicked it off and made it happen, and had the stuff that I didn't have.
No, that's a whole nother
Yes.
a whole nother topic.
Yes. And so hey, and thus it began. The expensive hobby of hunting that we all know so well. But we love it and we pursue it, and it's teaches you life lessons. And there's just a love for it that it goes far beyond just being out there and, getting a deer and harvesting the deer and having the meat. It's way more than that. And I've just grown I have a love for it now, and I'm passionate about it. And I just can't get enough of it. And that's why I'm super excited to be a part of Hunter Boys Outdoors, and been here since we started it. Literally. Seen it, grow from an idea to now. Here we are with our first podcast, talking about our experiences, but that's the backstory about me, and I guess that kind of went long, but
no, that's good. That's good, man. I remember when you first walked through the door, and I was like, I like this dude, and I think I even said that. I was like, dude, like you seem like you're so cool. Like we should hang out again. And I always loved telling this part because we didn't want to press y'all too hard and be like, come off as like that, like we were desperate. And so we like waited this period of time before we text y'all back. And that just cracks me up because, man, like I wish we would have been like the next day been like, hey, you want to hang out?
It's just that I guess we kind of both had that same thought process going on, like, oh, we don't want to freak them out and then run off and,
Right. Well, dude, man, it's crazy. It is crazy how diverse the military is. You get all kinds of people from all kinds of different backgrounds. And, man, you might have some similarities with people, but, man, it's very hard to find somebody that shares a similar background, shares a similar faith, shares a similar morals and values and stuff like that. And man, and that's why we loved hanging out with y'all. And then here, like I said, here we are, friends for, God, when was that? 2019? 2019. And here we are in 2022, God, that's crazy. But I feel like we've known each other forever. You've actually even met my parents, or met my dad. You met my dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I met you met my dad and my mom, I think. I've met your parents. Yeah. Well, I've been to, we've been to each other's family's houses. Yeah. He's had the best gumbo of his life.
I've been to his neck of the woods. He's been to my neck of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, because we actually, back in 2019 is when we had our first, I guess technically our first hunt together, right? And I invited you down in November, and I was like, dude, you've got to come, man. Like you just got to. I really, actually, at that time in my life, I really needed a friend, which we'll get to here in a minute. But it was a really rough time in my life, and I needed somebody, and I was like, hey, come on. And I don't know about you, but I've noticed that, and this is kind of what kind of started Hunter Boys, was we wanted to get away from things, right? Personal, work, whatever. We wanted to get away from something. And man, for some reason, we just gravitated towards the outdoors. we gravitated towards waking up at 3, 4 in the morning, whether it's 15 degrees or 70 degrees.
That's when you know you love something. That's for sure.
For sure. And it's crazy how much, I guess it's well, I mean, I guess any addiction can be bad, but I feel like for me, this is one of those good addictions. You know, this is the thing that can keep me whole. You know, I have a great, beautiful wife. I have great kids, beautiful kids. But man, there's just something about the outdoors that keeps me going and that keeps me wanting to go back out there. And it's not because of success.
Absolutely not.
Nope, not at all. Because we've had more bad days than good days. But dude, the good days are.
It makes the good days that much more rewarding, you know, because they're so hard to come by.
Well, yeah, So you went deer hunting with me. Then we went hog hunting. That was fun.
Yeah.
That's just fun.
Actually, especially in South Texas.
Dude. Okay, so tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so let's see. I was super excited to go out, you know, for my first hog hunt. And I just remember the funniest thing is we were going out during the night. I mean, we were going to hunt as long as we could that night. All I had was my good old iron sights on my M4. And we got it sighted in and everything. And all I remember is getting out there and I'm like, how in the world am I going to see iron sights when it's dark outside? And it was just funny. I remember trying to figure that out. And I was like, man, Caleb, I think I'm going to have you hold up a flashlight behind me if we see something.
That green light, boy.
And I quickly came to realize that with the hog to human ratio out there,
it's insane.
If they decided to take us, they were going to take us no matter what. I mean, and I think that's when I was like, you know, maybe I could invest in a site for this thing. And but I just remember it was the craziest experience because when you talk about like craziest noises on all sides, and you can't see any of them. It's all just, you know, walking down this pipeline with woods on either side, and I just remember one came out and turned around and went directly back into the woods before we could even react, and that was the only one that came out into the pipeline the whole night. And it was funny. I mean, we tried. We went up and down all the pipelines all over that property.
Dude, hey, that was 600 and something acres. Yeah. So this wasn't just like a little bitty, you know, farm. Dude, it was
even went down to Hogtopia. Yep. Was the name of the area of that property where hogs were just abundant, just everywhere. Not even lying. And nothing came out in the open for us. And I just remember eventually throughout the night, you know, it came up, you know, we're not going to be able to get a hog unless we go into the dense woods and find them, you know, or wait on them to come up. And I just remember when Caleb told me that, and I was like, man, I just don't think that's a great idea. I don't know if my desire to kill a hog is that extreme.
Let me just say, this mother trucker right here was scared. I am throwing you under the bus, dude. Homeboy was scared because I remember I was freaking sitting there. I was like, all right, hey, look, we're about to go in these woods because they're too scared, you know, scared to come out, blah, 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 blah. And he said, we're going in there? Like, and I was like, yeah, dude. He's like, what?
Hold on. To my defense,
This was his
I
first
was
time.
the one going into the woods first. Caleb's like, Jake, I think we're gonna have to go into the woods. Just cut right through there, and I'll follow you. You know, so he's cutting out some of the story here.
Dude, well,
You know,
no. Strategically, I wanted you to do that just in case something jumped out and you just, boom, you just hit it.
I know,
right?
but, you know, my old iron sights.
Oh, and then-
I would have been shooting at nothing, man.
Well, listen to this. And then I proceeded to tell him once we got in the woods, I said, hey, look, if a hog runs up at you and it tries to charge you, just make sure you're standing by a tree and so you can jump up in it. He said, what? I remember that to this day. He said, what? I said, yeah, just make sure you're standing by a tree so you can jump up in it. He's like, Caleb, I don't know if I want to do this. Finally convinced him, and then you tell the rest.
Not to mention the stories that the owners of this place were telling us before we even went out into the woods. I mean, talking about
400, 500, 600-pound pigs.
huge pigs that, you know, could jump a fence, basically.
Yeah, because didn't he say one of them cleared that 6-foot fence?
Yeah.
Well, I say cleared. It wasn't like he just flew, but he jumped up on it and shimmied his way up.
So, you know, there's a little, I don't know.
Hesitation.
Yeah, with all that in my mind, you know, I'm just a North Texas boy going into these woods down here. Look,
In the swampland.
yeah, in the swampland. I ain't been around gators all my life, you know, and I didn't, you know, the thoughts going through my head was I was going to step in those woods right on a gator, and then a 600-pound pig was going to come knock me, you know, off my feet, and who knows if I'd see my wife and kids anymore. You know, I was thinking about more than just myself, okay? But, no, eventually we went in, and we probably went, we didn't have to go far into the woods. We probably went about 20, 30 yards, I guess. And the pigs kind of scattered, and we kind of decided, okay, look, time to kind of hunker down, find a tree, and just wait for them to come back in. And sure enough, it didn't take long. It was one of the weirdest feelings. It was almost like a scary dream, just standing there in the pitch black.
And it's you have all these weird.
You're
Like all these weird noises.
solely relying on your sense of hearing to decipher what's around you. And if you've ever been in the woods at night, you know, even the smallest noise sounds it's amplified and sounds totally different than it would in the daytime. Oh, that's a squirrel, obviously. Like, what else would it be? No, I mean, a raccoon sounds like a 12-point buck walking up on you at night, you know?
Right.
And so it was it was an adrenaline rush, and it was also super exciting. And then eventually a little, probably, I don't know, 50, 60-pound pig, you know, came up, and he was probably about 15 yards from me. Well,
Walk straight up to you.
Caleb turned his flashlight on so I could see my sights there, and I smoked him.
Dude. Bam!
Smoked him.
Right
and
there.
then walked up and finished him with my 9. But yeah, and that was that. I think we eventually shot that pig at, I don't know, it was getting close to midnight, I think. And
It was either right at midnight or a little bit past midnight.
And I think we were ready to call it after that. We were pretty worn out from our trip at that time. So then we called it, headed back to the house. But yeah, that is a hunt that I will never forget. And I would hope to get to experience it again, hopefully with a sight that, helps me at night and with the experience under my belt, to be a little more confident.
So the way we were hunting pigs, it's very fast and furious. And you have to just react. Yeah. There's no, I'm gonna sit right here. I mean, I guess you could, which we kind of tried that, but it didn't work.
Right.
Which one time when we were actually right before we actually went in those woods, I don't know if you remember that, we were actually walking on the pipeline and we were kind of close to the border of the trees. You remember when that pig almost freaking walked up to you?
Yeah.
It's right there.
Walked out. And then
I mean, they have terrible eyesight. Yeah, they just he came out of the woods and walked to you and then walked back, and I was like, oh my god, he's about to shoot him, but then he. So it is an adrenaline rush. Yeah. That's all it is. One big adrenaline rush all night long. Yeah. At least the way that we had to hunt there. Right. Not every single situation is gonna be like that.
Unfortunately, nothing was coming out under the feeders that the owner mentioned. He's like, you can just drive down the road here, and if you see a light on under the feeder, they're out there, and just pop them from the road. Well, unfortunately, that was not the case that night, and I think the hogs wanted to test old Jake out, and they definitely did kind of get the best of me, but I got one of them.
You did, man, and I was so proud of you in that moment. Yeah. I was like, it was almost like I don't know. This is just the best way that I can come up with it, but like a father-son moment. Yeah. Not really, right. But just that real proud moment of me pouring into somebody and then seeing them actually, win, and actually get something. It was amazing. Yeah. It was so amazing. And dude, that pig was a perfect size too.
It was a good size. I honestly wish we could have kept it and cooked it up, because I think it would have been perfect eating size, and I think we were just too worn out to even mess with that. And
and trust me, you don't have to worry about wasted game.
Oh yeah,
because literally there was, right before we went out, there was the landowner told us that story of that pig that was eating the other pig's carcass. Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah.
And he said all that was left was like a little bit of the snout, and it was like one of those big ones. It was like 450 pounds. Yeah. Ugh, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. They're nasty animals, but and I know they say they're an invasive species everywhere, but South Texas invasive compared to North Texas invasive, and even up into Oklahoma invasive, it's 3 different levels of invasive species. Because I don't think I've seen. Well, we saw those pigs at Fort Sill.
Well, like 2?
That one time.
Yeah.
Those are the only pigs I've ever seen in Oklahoma. I think you've gone hunting before with your neighbor, and y'all had seen pigs somewhere. But I don't think they're as...
Is it just a climate thing, you think?
I don't know. But, back home on my dad's place, there's a pretty good group of them down there, but it's still just not like, South Texas. It's unreal.
I don't know, man. I mean, if it is somewhat climate / topography related, or however you wanna say it, but man, the marsh, you could just hide in the marsh. Yeah. And that's what they do. They just hide in the marsh, and they hide in those reeds. They go hide in that real thick, nasty, short, shrubbery. And dude, we were digging, trying to dig our way through the woods. Dude, it's thick. The palmettos and
right. That's another contributing factor to like kind of where my fear was when we were out there, because you can only see with those palmettos everywhere. you really can't see a pig until it's almost right up on you. You know, they're pretty hidden in the woods with all the shrubbery and everything on the ground, and I think that's just another factor that I was sitting there thinking, like, man, I can't see anything. You know, I'm having to literally just listen.
Well, dude, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but you remember how it was actually a really bright moon. I can't remember what kind of moon it was, but it was really bright. And then you remember when the clouds would hide it, and then it just went utter darkness.
Right.
And then it would kind of peek through, and then you were like, when it would peek through, you were like, oh God, I can see now. Like, oh, light. And then it would go dark again. And dude, that's when it was like, even for me, it was like, holy crap, dude. Like, it's freaking dark out here. It's scary.
And not to mention the owls that just love to give out the craziest noises at night. That
Sounds like monkeys.
Sounds like, monkeys. Just it's crazy stuff. But that was our hog hunting experience while I was down there, and that was only a portion of what we did while we were down there. Also had my very first duck hunting with a spread and a blind experience while I was down there. Did you forget about that?
Yes, I did. So, dude, we had your first deer hunt, hog hunt, and duck hunt all in 4 days,
trip.
right?
All in one trip. Not first duck hunt, but first duck hunt over a spread and a blind. Okay. I had pond hop before, but I never had the decoys or even the calls. Never had the calls to even. I didn't even know the concept of it, really. You know, all I had known was, hey, let's go jump this pond and see if there's something on it, and you know, so that was exciting. I actually got my first duck call while I was down there, and duck lanyard, and went out in a marsh where, once again, the guys that we were going with were like, yeah, you know, not too long ago that you could look out over this water and you just see a bunch of eyes and all the gators out here, and I was like, man, what are we doing? Why would you even say that right now? You know I'm here, right? Like, I'm not from around here, you know. But it's just part of the experience and part of the fun. And I just remember the motor didn't work on the little John boat we were taking out, and I was like, man, this would happen.
Bro, didn't we have to get out and like push it?
Yeah, we just had to get out and walk it.
Hey, Travis, my boy, love you, bro. Love you, bro. Man, God, that was... Bro, you remember him and Josh?
Oh.
Bro. Cracking jokes
Dude.
the entire time.
Yeah.
And then probably the highlight of that day... Correct me if I'm wrong, but the boat wouldn't work. And Josh said something to the effect of, dang, Travis, we got company and your boat ain't working. Bro, I was rolling. Man, such a good group of guys down there, dude. And you know what, man? I could literally go to them anytime with any kind of person and just be like, hey, man, can we show them a good time? Yeah. And they're like, oh, my God, yeah. And just wonderful set of guys. Ethan, Travis, Josh Leday, man. Y'all are good guys, man. I really do love y'all. But
I'd really love to go hunting with Josh and Travis again, and even Ethan. I don't think I've met Ethan, but Josh and Travis, that was a blast, and just listening to them too crack jokes and, you know, kind of go at each other. And I have a lot of great memories about that trip, and even though we kind of got skunked, but it was still a great time, and that was my first time. You know, it's funny. Most of my first weren't very successful.
I was actually just about to bring that up. Why did you continue?
I think it was just, obviously the hunt. It's not so much the success of hunting that, yes, that's what I strive for. But it's just the memories that are made getting out there and being in the outdoors with your buddies and, talking about God and talking about your life and your struggles and what you're going through, and but also the pursuit of wild game. It's just a
Adventure.
A feeling like no other, and I'm telling you, if you ever get the itch, it is something you can't shake off, and it's a wonderful, expensive itch, but it is something that I just love, and it's near and dear to my heart now, and I just look forward to everything ahead of us, in our future, and what other experiences we're going to have, because it's just, that's stuff that I'm going to remember the rest of my life. And when I'm old and sitting in a rocking chair and can't do anything, at least I can think back to the good memories of hunting with my buddies and having good times. So,
Dude,
it's more than just the hunt.
Oh my gosh. For me, it's always been, man, I'm really bad luck. I am terrible luck. I could have the perfect day, the perfect weather. My rifle be sighted in on a dot at 200-300 yards. I could hit all 25 clays before going out on a duck hunt, and something will go wrong. Something will happen. Something will
you just might
change.
Cut your dog's leg or something like that.
Right. Oh. Yeah.
Self-sabotage there,
Dude, listen, it was completely unintentional. Let me just say that. It was unintentional. Old Mally girl. We'll have to get her on the podcast one time. Show her. She is an absolute sweetheart. Actually, I think I have a photo. Hold on. I think I got a photo right here. Let's see here. Let's bring it up. But Mally, she is actually a golden labradoodle. She is 2 years old. She's going to be 3 this year. And man, she's awesome.
Great dog.
I am trying not to be partial when I say that. She's just different, man.
Yeah.
And I think everybody sees it. Because I very, very rarely, and I'm trying to be modest when I say that, I very rarely get something negative about her.
Right.
I mean, you've watched her.
Well-mannered.
Yeah, she's just amazing. I keep on saying that. I really don't have any other words for her. I'm trying to. Let's see. Let's do Mally being Mally. Here we go. Let's see. Let's do a recent one. Let's do January of 2022 here. Let's see. I'll pull it up real quick. Let's do. Okay, here we go. Let's do this one right here. Let's see if this is a good one. Here she is. It's not a very good photo, but that's a good photo. Sweet girl. This was actually January of this year. Such a sweet dog. And like Jake said, super, super well-mannered. Just an absolute joy to be around. And we've all been through a lot. Literally all of us. Like Jake pointed out, I did cut her leg. It was December. It was right before my birthday. Right before deployment, huh? I
believe so.
I think it was. I think it was that same. Yeah, it was. It was like the beginning of December. Right? Anyway, it was December.
Yeah.
And it was a perfect day. It was supposed to be super nasty cold. Supposed to be snowing. It was supposed to snow, and I've always wanted to frickin' hunt in the snow.
It would have been a sweet hunt.
And dadgummit, she ran into some cockaburs, and like you saw in that picture, she has a little bit longer hair. And I do that on purpose to keep her warm, because she does pretty well in the cold. She ran through some cockaburs, and I was trying to pull them off, and some of them I just couldn't pull off, and I filleted her open, literally right on her leg, about right here, and I literally almost passed out. You remember that?
Yeah, it was.
I almost passed out.
Not to mention we had hiked into this spot that we were going to hunt.
A mile in.
Yeah, a mile in the snow, in waders, lugging decoys and all our other junk, hauled it all in. Finally got to the spot, and then this happened. And I just remember thinking, and this just, myself, I was just sitting there thinking, oh man. So we gonna just bandage it up and keep hunting?
Oh my gosh.
And that was obviously not even an option. Quickly our good buddy Trevor Sprague kind of jumped into action and took charge. Told Caleb to get his crap together and quit almost heaving.
I thought I was gonna throw up. I did. I was like, I just killed my dog.
Yeah.
I literally thought that, because I thought I had cut her artery.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I just killed my dog.
Yeah.
I was sick.
But I just remember Trevor got us all rallied together, and Caleb and Q took turns running with Mally on their shoulders all the way back to the truck, that mile trek back to the truck, and then left all the decoys back there with me and old Trevor. And man, you talk about, it was a leg burner coming out of there, not to mention just, the sickness of not getting to hunt, but it was the right thing to do. Like, Mally was injured. Mally's basically another human. Obviously if I cut my leg open, I sure wouldn't want people just bandage it up and, hey, I think we're good to hunt, and so it was definitely the right thing to do, and I'm glad that we got her back out, and she's healed up now. I just remember that was a very kind of scary time there for a little bit, wondering, how bad it was, and but she healed up, and I don't think it really fazed her too much. She got right back in it, and actually after that she was out for the season, and then she was out the whole time Caleb was deployed. So she went a solid, 8-9 months
With nothing.
with no training. She was just a house dog for a while. And I remember we were thinking, man, how are we going to get her back into this? And that's when, Caleb got back and got on it and
Came back with a vengeance.
got her back into it and never looked back. She's been great for us. She's from her first retrieve to now she's awesome.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not gonna brag and say that my dog's fetched 1,000 ducks. She hasn't.
Yeah.
But every single hunt that we've been on, that she's needed to get something, she's gotten it.
Yeah.
Literally.
And you can see the progress. Like, it may not be pretty, but it's progress. And
I mean, hey, I'd rather Mally than some of the dogs that we've been around.
Oh yes.
And she's not perfect, and I don't think she's perfectly trained and listens perfectly. Or, sometimes she messes up, she makes mistakes. And it's funny, and now that I have a turn talking, you mentioned something earlier. You said she almost is like a human to us. I've seen this is how I treat my dogs. I expect a lot out of them. Jake has seen me train. I do not put up with bull. I don't. I train really hard and I train often. Now, I mean, I'm not mean. I don't think I'm mean, but I demand a lot.
But it's like a child, It's like teaching a child.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're not mean, and you're not you're just correcting.
Yeah.
And sometimes correcting means, sometimes harsh discipline, but also love and teaching them after that. So,
and I think that's something that a lot of people forget.
right.
Is that love. And dude, I've said it before, and I've even messed with Jake about this. If I'm gonna expect my dog to go retrieve ducks and get dirty and get nasty, she can get him in my truck dirty.
Yeah.
That's just right. The way I believe that it should be. And granted, everybody's got their own way of thinking. Some people just view dogs as dogs and that's it, and they just blah. And then some people, like old Dexter, is a house dog and he is meant to snuggle. That's it. But I wanted a dog that I could snuggle with and then go hunt. And dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, and maybe you can favor this or not, but man, I think that special blend has made me and Mally have a special connection. At least I feel so. I don't know if it looks like that from the outside, but I think so.
Yeah. No, you can definitely tell it's a special connection. It's not just a dog you put up in the kennel. Once you get done hunting, you bring it home and put it in the kennel and it's done, till your next hunt. She's a family dog. She's around the family and the kids, and she's part of the family, but she knows when it's time to work. And
yes, she does.
and she's very good at it for the amount of time she's been doing it. And it inspires me, to eventually get one of my own and train and hopefully, that dog kind of falls right in the same path as Mally. And Mally's a very good learner. And
wait, did I say what she was earlier, or did I just skip past that?
I think you said
Okay. She's a golden labradoodle.
right.
She is half lab, quarter poodle, quarter golden retriever. Just if anybody's curious. But stupid smart. And you said it also. Dude, she's so smart. And she picks up on things super easy. That doesn't mean training's easy. I found myself actually doing too much, trying to be too fancy. Granted, I'm not a professional, but I kind of had to back off and kind of reevaluate and reassess what I was doing and kind of get back down to the basics. Because, man, you have to have your foundation. And if you don't have your foundation, just like if you're in a relationship with God or your relationship with your wife or your kids, man, if you don't have that foundation, you don't have anything, right? And yeah, I found myself, once I got to a certain point, I was trying to do too much. And so I kind of had to back off a little bit and kind of not strengthen the foundation, but review it, I guess. I guess that's probably a better word. But yeah, man, we got off on a tangent on that. Good Lord. But dude, yeah, I mean, but this just goes to show you that she means a lot to us.
Yeah.
She does. Like, she is one of the guys, even though she's a girl, she's a dude. and she will go anywhere, do anything, and I'm confident in her ability. I really am. So I love her to absolute death, man. She's awesome. But anyway, man, I need some water or something after that. That coffee getting a little, that coffee got me a little bit parched there. But anyway, man, so we talked about your first, huh?
Yeah. So let's, steer in a different direction, and let's talk about your first deer hunt or encounter or success, whether it's success or not. So, man,
I grew up in the woods, man. My dad made sure that I was outside, I was in the woods, I was in the backyard, and I was not in the house. But yeah, like I could tell you, and I'm kind of stumbling here because, man, I could tell you so many stories. But I guess I'll just focus on one. My very first deer, I guess we'll just go with that one. That's an easy one. But so I actually grew up in Colorado for 11 years, and God, I hope one day that we'll just get some money and we'll be able to go and enjoy it. Because it's such a beautiful state to hunt, and it's different, man. It's different. Those western states, man, it's just different. I don't even know how to explain it. But I was fortunate enough to actually harvest my first deer right behind my house. And you have to be 12 in order to hunt those western big game in western states. And so, had to do the hunter's education and all that junk. And I went and, got my tag and whatever else with my dad, and we got up one morning and we lived on about 17 acres, and nobody lived by us. It was a tree farm, a gravel pit, and the South Platte River. That was it. That was it. There was nobody by us. And so we actually went to the back of the property, and we were walking, and I see these figures, kind of hopping through the river was actually kind of low. And I see these figures hopping, and I'm like, Dad, I think I see 2 deer right here. And I was pretty confident. I was like, Dad, there's deer. There's hopping. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, son, that's just a dog. Well, by the time he looked, ironically, there was a big old dog chasing these deer. And by the time that he turned, he just saw the dog. He's like, no, that's just a dog. Dude, no lie. So those deer were pretty far. They came up the riverbank, and they took a hard left, and we were standing in this field. Well, dude, we were walking, and my dad saw him. He's like, son, get out. And we just dropped to a knee. Bro, they were hopping probably 50, 60 yards. And we just froze, and we watched them. And what they did is they went behind us, actually back towards the house. And so what we did was there was a little patch of woods, and we actually went back, and and there was this levee or a ditch, whatever you want to call it, and it was kind of built up, and we crawled back behind it, and I snuck up with my 308. And we saw them, and obviously my dad was like, "Hey, I want you to take the bigger one," which is on the left or right. I don't remember, but it was right there. And it was this perfect little clearing with the sun coming through. I mean, it couldn't have been a better picture. And I just lined her up. Dude dropped her. I mean, instantly. And actually, I'm not even going to lie to you. I have that picture right here. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. But man, it was one of the highlights of my youth. And it meant a lot to me. This is actually all the elk hunting photos. Let's see. Oh, that's another elk hunting photo. Let's see. See, is this it right here? Oh, yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here, let me show y'all real quick. But it was one of the highlights of my life here. And as you can see, man, there's my old trusty Browning lever action, and that was that doe. I hit perfect. Just bah. Yeah. And that was me at 12 with my nerdy little glasses. I hadn't made it to contacts yet. But man, and I think that was 2006, I believe. I think that's what it says. 2006. But man, it was just such an amazing experience, and I'll never, ever, ever forget that. My dad was like, "Oh man, son, good job." Blah, blah, blah. And then actually, I'll bring this back up. I actually shot my first elk in Colorado.
So what happened with the dog that was chasing those deer?
Dude, so it's funny that you say that. So it actually ran to the middle. So I guess there was like a sandbar, and then the deer got off in the deep end, and that dog actually stopped and went back to his property. Yeah. But actually here's a picture of my first elk. And I actually shot this, I can't remember I think I was 13, so it might have been the next year. And dude, I was actually these are a couple of my dad's really good friends, and we were actually going to some private property, but we were on some public land, and we were driving, and it was a late season cow tag. Because I had some trouble before. Actually, I went earlier that same season, and dude, somehow my sight got bumped, and it was off by a lot. And so I'm going on my first elk hunt, and I'm like, dude, I'm not missing. Like, what is the deal? Well, I mean, I was, but I'm like, dude, what is the deal? Oh my gosh. Turns out I was off by a lot. I can't remember how many inches at like 100 yards, but I was like low or high. But it was a lot. And I was trying to shoot something at like 250 yards. Right. And I was either 12 or 13. Anyway. But yeah, so I finally got the gun sighted back in, and man, we were driving on this public land. Or it was a public? I can't remember. Anyway, we saw this bull and two cows on top of this ridge. So we like jumped out, and we ran, and we kind of got set up, and they're coming, and we like literally cut them off perfectly. And I remember she was at the top, and my dad's like, "All right, dude, whenever you're ready." And dude, I just I smoked her, dude, right in the heart. Just bah! And dude, she started rolling down the hill. She actually got stuck on a tree, so we had to like go halfway up the hill and get her. But man, that was an awesome moment. It was an awesome moment, and I felt like I was really successful. And after that, I felt like I could do anything. And after that, I went with my dad multiple years in just me and him in the mountains of Colorado in our little spot. We're on horseback, and that is my favorite way to hunt, man. On horseback, and it is just, you can get places, man. You can get I'll say quickly. You can get, quicker. It's not like an ATV where you, right. But man, I feel like you can get closer to animals a little bit. They just have that. I don't know how to explain it, but like they have, like, an animal can sense that it's an animal. Right. You know what I mean? And so you can kind of get a little bit closer, and you can kind of like weave through the woods, and it's just another animal. But man, you're
probably, disguises your scent a little bit as well. So yeah, that could also be the case. But
so. I never really thought about that. Yeah. Maybe so. But yeah, man, it's just different, man. And so I loved going and just enjoying the mountains, and it's just I could talk about it all day long. But
I think it'd be an awesome experience, one day to hunt Colorado, or gosh, even, Wyoming, Montana. It would be just an awesome trip, and but I've got to have success where I'm at before I step out, and that's kind of something that relates to our life experiences. You got to be successful where you are now before you step out, and go somewhere else to try and, conquer something else. So, and that's kind of the way I look at my hunt. I definitely want to eventually do that kind of stuff, but man, I've got to, I want to be successful where I'm at for now in the whitetail woods, and and get a good deer, and have that experience and stuff before I really step up to bigger game or bigger territory. And
well, but dude, like, and I think you kind of nailed it on the head. You have to be successful at where you're at. Man, one of the scariest moments of my life, I'm not even joking with you, man. I was scared to death. Man, I was 12 to 14. It was actually probably more around the 13, 14 mark. And I was riding my old trusty horse, Thunder. Love that horse. Love you, brother. God, love that horse. And he was just sure-footed, calm, collected, and just knew his way on a trail. He was actually from King's Ranch. Had the brand and had the brand and everything. He was actually an old roping horse, but man, he was just all around just a great horse. And dude, I was on this cow trail, and I was actually leading. I was actually in front of my dad, bro. I'll never forget. So I was on this trail. Well, the trail kind of split. Well, I went left. I just went left. Well, there was kind of this covering, this little patch of trees. So we were kind of going up this ridge, and we weren't going straight up, but we were kind of cutting it at an angle. Well, there was this little pocket of trees, and the trail went through, or it went around. And I was like, okay, I'll just go through this pocket of trees. No big deal. I mean, it wasn't like it was far. It was just like right through here. Bro, Thunder took a step, sunk all the way to his stomach, bro. And he was a 16 hands. Or he stood at 16 hands. He was above, I would say probably a little bit above average height. He was very tall. And he just, whoa. And mind you, he's old. And dude, I had the experience. And I knew to give him his rein and just let him go. And let him work. Bro, I picked up my feet and I said, Thunder, go. And I just let him go. Dude, that horse, I can't remember how big it was, but I remember it was bigger. The puddle was longer than his body, because I remember him. And he kept sinking, dude. It actually got up to like his lower chest. And he finally got solid ground and dug me and him out of it. it was so scary. And my dad was like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. Like, was scared to death because we could have fell and in the slop and died, like right there, and just been stuck, because if Thunder would have not had his balance because I was scared and I was uptight, he could have shifted and I could have fell off and then he could have accidentally stepped on me. I mean, granted, he was a sweetheart, but accidents happen, right? But dude, I had that previous, horse knowledge, and I've rode horses all my life. I wanted to be a cowboy ever since I could remember. So I grew up around horses, and I just knew that, dude, just let him go. Let him do his thing. He knows what to do. And, man, I barely got out of that one. Scared the ever-living daylights out of me, dude.
Awesome experience, though.
Great experience. Great experience. I want to do it again. But yeah, and man, I totally forgot where we were going with that. But yeah, that was one of the scariest moments of my life.
Yeah.
But I think you were asking me something. I don't remember where we were going with that.
We were just talking, man. We were talking about how you have to be successful here.
Oh, yeah.
Before you step out.
Yep. Yeah. And so thank goodness I had that previous experience before I had that, because I wouldn't want you going through that.
Right.
Bro, oh my God, I'd be so scared for you. It would have to just be luck / a little bit of God in that situation, right? Because I'd been like, oh, well, Jake's gone.
Yeah. I mean, once you're in that situation, there's not much anyone else can do. I mean, but yeah, your previous knowledge with horses and everything definitely helped you in that situation, and thank goodness you're still here, but
bro, I was at Thunderbird. Did I ever tell you this story? It was not last year. I believe it was the year before. Dude, straight up accident, dude. I got to my hunting spot. I knocked an arrow. It's obviously bow season, so I knocked an arrow, and I put it down. And I was brushing in my area, and I grabbed a stick, and I turned around, and I heard, I was like, what, did I just step on a stick? Bro, the broadhead went through my pants and missed my leg.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Scared me so bad. I was kind of freaked. I had to literally stop a minute, and I was like, oh my gosh, that could have been so bad.
Yeah.
Scared the ever living daylights out of me.
Yeah, that's gosh, when you're talking about bow hunting and stuff, there's so many things that you've got to be very, very cautious about, and that's one of them. Once you take an arrow out, you just got to be conscious of the location of that arrow at all times while it's outside of the sheath. Because I mean, if you drop an arrow out of the stand and just leave it till after the hunt, you may forget about that, and you may come down and
plop down.
Yep. And I mean, that it would be an ugly experience, and I know that people have died from stuff like that, and that's a horrible way to go, and that's just part of the safety aspect of it. Take care of the little things that you can. It doesn't matter if you're up in the tree stand already and something like that happens. Go ahead and get down and take care of that, because obviously you want to be safe before anything else. But yeah, things happen. It's definitely not what am I trying to say? You're not in a room with pillows around you.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a padded room, right?
And that's kind of you've got to remind yourself about safety when you get out there, because you're dealing with firearms or bows and arrows or wild game. You get out into Montana, bear country out there. You've got to obviously be aware of that and what to do with a bear encounter, and there's just all kinds of things that you deal with in the outdoors, but that's part of the experience. You'll learn from it, and it's kind of the fun of it, ironically.
Yeah, you learn from those mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes hurt. Either hurt your pocket or hurt yourself, and yeah. So, that's a totally different conversation,
but it's all a great experience, and it's what keeps us coming back. And
I guess since this is kind of the beginnings, right, or the beginning, I guess you could say. I guess I should probably explain kind of how this started, right? How like Hunter Boys came to light, came to be. I don't think we're a force, well, let me say that differently. I don't think we're, top tier, on top of the food chain. But I definitely think we are an entity, and I think we have a lot to offer for sure. But it's kind of a sad story, actually. So back in 2019, September of 2019, my brother actually passed away. Had a really crazy death. He actually got struck by lightning and he drowned. And all he was trying to do was go save his horse from being in the pasture and possibly dying due to the flooding that was happening. And that was a very rough time in my life. It was actually 3 days after my second daughter was born. And so a lot of that happiness got stripped from me. And it was just a really weird time. And Jake can be the first one to tell you I was definitely different. I feel like I'm a pretty happy guy.
How could you not be?
Right.
Right. Anyone that, put yourself in Caleb's shoes, and you can't really tell how you're going to react. But it's definitely not going to be normal. I couldn't imagine losing a brother or a sibling in general, and not being impacted heavily. So,
right. But yeah, it was such a shock. You were one of the first people that I called, and I was choking up, and I couldn't believe what was going on. And then something just snapped in me, and I was like, okay, I got to go help my mom and dad. And, on top of losing my brother, their house also flooded. So I had to go help with that. And, during all that, I really didn't have any time to grieve, because I don't know. I kind of just, subconsciously put that on the back burner, because I can wait. But man, I couldn't, and that's ironically when we had our first deer hunt, our first hog hunt, our first duck hunt, or our first quote unquote duck hunt, real duck hunt. And I just needed somebody. And so what I did in order to, I guess, cope with my pain and cope with my sorrow was get in the outdoors. So in 2020, that's what we did. And plus 2020 was the lockdown for COVID. So I think that also made it worse. And so, me and the wife and the kids were stuck up in the house for months. It felt like, actually it was months, huh? It literally was months. And, watching TV and on the phone can only do so much. And, you miss your friends. And so, dude, like, I was like, man, I've got to get outdoors. I've got to deal with this pain somehow. And I knew I couldn't rely on my friends to take the place of my brother dying. But man, subconsciously I did, and I told y'all that I wasn't trying to like do that. I remember multiple times like, hey, look, I really don't want you to put you on this pedestal, so I definitely was trying not to, but I did anyway.
Yeah. And I think, that's definitely something that, that I remember. I mean,
What was your point of view of that? Because I don't think we've actually ever really talked about that.
I mean, yes, I remember the whole situation of, I think you kind of expected things of us as friends that you expected from a brother. And I think we were trying our best to kind of fill that that spot for you, but obviously you can't replace someone that you grew up with, and it's a terrible thing, and no one should have to go through that. And I think that was the hardest thing, was we were trying to be that to fill that spot, but we obviously couldn't. There's no way you could replace someone like that. And I just remember I hated it. I hated the situation. I hated that, that happened. But, everything happens for a reason, and God has a plan for everybody. And unfortunately, God doesn't give us all 100 years on this earth. He gives us our time, and when that time's up, thank goodness we know where Hunter is, and we know that he's living it up with God right now. And I know it's sad that he can't be here with us and doing our Hunter Boys thing, but I know he's doing bigger things with God, and I know he's looking down and really he's happy with what you're doing and where you're taking this, and it's been great. I hope you know that you're going the right direction with this, and I think he'd be very pleased.
Yeah, I like how you just kind of foreshadowed that, because I guess I'll just continue with the story so we can get to the whole Hunter Boys thing. But yeah, so we went through 2020, and we went hunting as much as we possibly could. And then in 2021, in that January, I deployed, and that was rough, especially with everything that I was going through. I got super depressed, super anxious, and it just kind of led to drinking, and that was my only way to like cope with everything. And I came back. I didn't have a limit like we did in the desert, and I was drinking whatever, and just to have some kind of release, And my wife was like, "Caleb, you need, I don't know who you are, but this is not the man that I married, and you need to get your act right." And I did, and well, at least I tried, But man, I think I definitely know for a fact that putting God first in my life, that is what got me out of everything. And and you kind of said it earlier. I know God has a plan. And I think something that I struggled with for a long time was like, not really why did my brother die? I mean, sure, that was a thought. But the thing that impacted me the most was, why does my parents have to hurt this bad?
Right.
Because that didn't just affect, them. It also affected me. And maybe I could say that a little bit more clearly. The way they acted towards me. Right. That really affected me. Because they were just so hurt and had so much pain, so much sorrow, and I hated it for them. Absolutely hated it. And it hurt me to see them like that. And it hurt me because, when you're grieving, when you're grieving like that, man, you say things.
Right.
And they ain't nice. And it really hurt. And so that was also kind of another factor that kind of led me down the road that I was. And, when I got back and I started to try to get God in the center of my life, I felt like God placed on my heart that I needed to ask my dad for forgiveness. And man, I battled it for a long time, I think it was like a month. And I was like, why do I need to ask for forgiveness? Why do I need to? I didn't do all this. I didn't say all these things. I didn't, do this and do this. And, this hurt me. I might have said that one thing that was kind of mean, but it was just one time. And I battled it for a long time. And, man, finally, I was just like, you know what? Fine. And I called him. And I said, Dad, I love you. And I said, man, I just want to apologize for some of the things that I've said. And I named them specifically. This, and this. I said, I really didn't mean it. And I was a little bit petty about it, but there was sincerity behind it, And obviously, my dad was like, yeah, I forgive you, and I know that there's things that I've done that either I've purposefully said or maybe just in my blind grief have said and didn't really realize what I was saying, and dude, from that moment on, and I think the first lesson that God wanted me to learn was what grace really was. That undeserved favor, what that actually looks like, what that actually means. Man, and it's hard. And it's hard. But I did it. Ever since then, man. Like I said, putting God first. Lord, what do you want my life to look like? What do I need to do to get better? And, and that led to me being able to, quit watching porn. That led me to having a better marriage with my wife. That led me to be a better father to my children. Right. Led me to be a better friend. It's just kind of a good kind of domino effect. Right.
It's funny because it's that first step in your faith that it's the hardest step, but once you take it, everything else just kind of starts to fall into place, and it's a little easier after that first step.
Well, and I don't know if I said this earlier, and if I did, forgive me, but I was so confused on why my parents had to go through all this pain. Please remind me if I said something. I know I'm bad about repeating, but I had to, and it kind of was, I guess, a revelation. I don't know if you want to call that an aha moment, but like, I had to kind of say to myself, God, I love you, and I know you know what's best for me. And God, I understand, and I'm okay with not understanding. And that's really deep, man. Like, God, I'm okay with not knowing why this happened, or I'm okay with not knowing the game plan. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's so easy when you're going through a really bad situation. Okay, why is this happening? Is it because I messed up? Right. Is it because I need to get stronger? Man, dude, sometimes you just don't freaking know why. Right. You just don't. And, you know, a very common, I guess, thing that people wanted to say was, oh, you know, Job went through the same thing. Man, look, I'm going to just give y'all a tip of advice, okay? If somebody's walking through something hard, especially men, and I can only relate this because sometimes I do this to my wife. Has your wife ever just wanted you to listen, but you gave her the answer, and then she got mad at you because she just wanted you to listen? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. If somebody's walking through something really, really, really hard, just listen. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to pretend like you got life figured out. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't know why my brother had to die. I don't know why. I don't know why my parents have to hurt so bad. Because, I mean, you know, it's so easy to look at a Bible story. And I'm not saying the Bible story is not valid. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But it's so easy to look at a Bible story and get the timetable confused. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And man, sometimes it's just better to let people vent and listen than to pretend like you have life figured out.
Right. And that's, you know, I remember, I mean, I knew I didn't have the answers for anything that you had. And, you know, I remember, you know, you just wanted to talk sometimes. And I've always been one that can really listen. But, you know, not everybody's been through what you've been through. And so I completely understand where it's, you know, you just need someone to listen. And I remember that very vividly, just, you know, sitting here some days listening to what you were going through, and just being that person that would listen and take it in. But I mean, I just remember being like, Caleb, I know you're going through this, and it's hard, but I don't have an answer for you. I don't have any advice for you. I can't really tell you anything. And I remember I just kind of felt like I couldn't help. And I just remember sitting there thinking, man, I wish I had an answer for you, and I wish I could tell you, hey, you know, I understand what you're going through, and this is, you know, what you can do to help. I didn't have those answers. All I could do was sit there and listen, and I just remember that. And, you know, at the time I felt like I was no help, but now looking back, I see that I was at least someone that would listen and not sit there and try and solve your problems for you. You know, because I'm not going to do that. If I can't, you know, give you the answer. If I haven't been through it, I'm obviously, I can't just sit there and tell you, oh, this is what you should do, or this is what I've seen other people do, until you've been through it. It's just best to sit back and listen and just, that's a good help. And
I also remember it's hard to not, when you're in that dark place, to not look at everything negatively. And it's something that I kind of saw myself doing. I remember like a couple times, be careful about this, Jake. I might have been right, but my heart wasn't right. Does that make sense? Like, okay, Jake, you need to be careful with going through this situation because somebody might hurt you. Because, man, I had through that terrible time, which we won't necessarily go into detail with all that, but I had a lot of people hurt me during that time. Right. Family. And just drama, good Lord. And, it's hard to vent. And I guess, because you obviously care about your friends, and if you're going through something, you don't want your friends to go through it. But also, man, like, you got to be really careful, because how is that information coming across, right? And it's hard when you're in that deep, dark space to not transfer those deep, dark feelings. Right. Does that make sense? And so I know I kind of caught myself, because I was real negative for a long time. I was like, man, Jake, you need to make sure that you're doing A, B, and C, and D, or you're going to get screwed over. And
it's funny because I do remember those conversations, and I remember in the moment I was like, man, I mean, I get it, but I don't get it, because but yeah, it's funny looking back, and I don't know. It's just, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I remember just being like, man, I hate that for him, but I don't think my family would ever do that.
Right. Well, and I know I kind of skipped through that because I want to try to condense it, but right before I deployed, our group of friends kind of came to this consensus, and there was and they were like, man, you just need to freaking do this. And so we literally, like, it was either the day before or the day after Christmas, but we started Hunter Boys, and I was like, all right, well, whatever. And then we kind of started it. And then when I deployed, obviously it kind of fell off a little bit, because I don't think we were prepared. No. We had an idea. Right. We thought it was good. We had a vision.
It was in the off season when you deployed. Or I guess you left like,
it was like January. So it was winding down.
Didn't have a whole lot of content at that time, and I was the only one back here. I just remember I was like, man, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. Obviously, we had even less back then than we have now. And
pictures of our garages.
Right. Yeah. Pictures of, organization in your garage. That's one of the things I posted, and I was just like, man, we're really digging for stuff right now. And I just remember, that was hard, to kind of keep it going through that deployment. And then obviously once they came back, we were able to get it back on track.
And dude, I think probably the biggest thing for me was, dude, I was, and during that deployment, super depressed. Right. Like, the only thing that I wanted to hang on to was like this idea. And man, I put just such an unrealistic expectation on all my friends. Right. Like, hey, you need to help. If you say you're going to help me do this, you need to help me do this. Which, if you say you're going to help me, help me. Right. But I don't think it was just real clear, like the expectation. Anyway, we don't want to get too far deep into that. It's just, that's another rabbit trail. And so that was kind of like a miscommunication, which led to other things. And it wasn't like, I'm wrong, you're right. I don't think it was that. Right. I think it was just me having a really hard time. And the only thing that I wanted to do was Hunter Boys. Right. Yeah. And I guess the reason that we named it, I guess it was really me that named it Hunter Boys, was one of my brother's nicknames was Hunter Boy. And I was like, man, that is such a cool name. Such a meaningful name. And so we kind of named it Hunter Boys. And we actually started off, we're going to be, it just makes me giggle just thinking about it. We're going to be budget hunters. You know?
Yeah, hunters on a budget.
Hunters on a budget. And man, completely different now. Completely different. And it's a good kind of different, because, you know, once I kind of got this relationship better with me and God, I felt like God completely turned it around, and I kind of felt like he was pushing me to make it more about connecting people with him. Right. You know, and do it in a very real way. Don't be some persona on TikTok. Don't be some funny video on Instagram. I mean, we do those things, right, like, obviously. And right, dude, I love making all that stuff. It's very time consuming. Man, it's fun. It's so much fun. But that's not the core reason why we're here. You know, I want to be able to connect people to Jesus. Connect people with the guy who helped me through my rough stuff. And I know there's people that go through way worse stuff than me. But my stuff wasn't fun. I was in a deep, dark place. I mean, me and yours relationship was rocky there for a little bit. Right. It was honestly, I remember having dinner as two family units together and just barely speaking.
Right. Yeah. It was a trying time. But we all go through, you know, rocky times like that. But it's just a test of your friendship, and here we are now, you know. But yeah, it was a tough time there for a bit, but you know, it's not something that, it definitely didn't affect our relationship all that much, you know. And that's God.
I think it made it stronger,
right?
For sure. And just having that relationship with him is so vital, you know, especially when you're walking through really tough stuff. And man, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Sometimes you want an answer from God, and he stays quiet. You know, and that's something that you just have to, you either mature from it or you don't. Right. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if anybody doesn't have a reason to believe in God, it's me. But here I am, because the one really hard thing that I had to deal with in my life, I turned to everything else. I turned to partying. I turned to alcohol. I turned to friends. I turned to all this other stuff. And man, all that other stuff fades away. But man, God does not. And I'm not trying to sound like every other Christian. I'm speaking from a very, very, very real point of view. So, anyway, so Hunter Boys kind of formed into this I guess a ministry. I don't know.
Ministry through hunting.
It's not like I don't like that word. I just don't want to sound cliche.
Right.
And so, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to, like, hide my Christianity either. But it's like, can we, like, come up with, like, a better word? You know, because I want to be one of the boys who you can tell something is different. Right. And I want that to be my walk with Jesus. I want that to be very evident and very different. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing, what we're about, and kind of how it all started. And did I miss anything like vital? I don't think.
I think we hit it all.
But so it got kind of dark real quick. but man, like,
but that's part of it. I mean, that was part of our journey. And I mean, wasn't a pretty part of the journey, but that's part of it. It's not all, sunshine and rainbows. You're going to fight battles in life, and how you respond and react, is how you're going to come out of it. And I think solid foundation with God and trusting God through it all is what brings you through and brings you through stronger. And
I actually, by you saying that, I actually thought about this. And this is my notes for Bible study. And I wrote this in the front because I thought it was such a powerful statement. I also have some duck spreads in the front of it too. In the wrong atmosphere, our weaknesses grow. In the right atmosphere, our strengths grow. In the wrong atmosphere, problems grow. In the right atmosphere, promises grow. What is your spiritual atmosphere? And my next little thing is, the things you get distracted by will never be as important as the things you get distracted from. And actually, I have a Bible verse right here. I actually want to turn to it, so give me just a second. It's going to be Psalms 92:13. Oh, actually, it's right here. Oh, actually, it's actually in a different version. Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have the right version because there's a certain version where it talks about just the way that it's worded, and Psalms 92 talks about like growing and like becoming fat. And I believe it's this verse. I could be completely wrong, but it's this verse that talks about becoming like fat from the Lord. Actually, it might be a different verse. I'm just going to digress because I don't want to say anything wrong. But man, this little quote right here really was powerful and really made me think, because we can get so caught up in our atmosphere, right? Right. That it's so easy to become negative or sour or corrupt, or this little little grain of sand can just embed and just start this huge irritation, and then you start lashing out at people. And man, the atmosphere that you put yourself around, dude, and that's people, that's everything, man. It's so important. So I've really been trying to make sure that I surround myself with the right people and really make sure that my life is centered around God. And I've really been trying to get into the Word, and I've read Matthew, and then for some reason I skipped to Romans, went through Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, and just kind of kept on going. It's funny. I kind of read, I don't know. It's like, I really try to pay attention. I'm like, hey Lord, where do you want to guide me today? And I just kind of I just go where I feel like I need to read. And man, most of the time it's because somebody or something is needed. Right. You know what I mean? I'm really trying to make sure my steps are ordered by God, Right. Doesn't mean I like it. I'll be very clear with that. Right. Sometimes it's too slow or it's too fast, right? But I'm just trying to do the right thing and listen to God and see what kind of plan He has for me in my life. And
that's part of faith, part of your journey with God. I mean, it's not always going to be what you want it to be. He's not always going to take you where you want to go. You may be hoping for this PCS to Hawaii, but that's not God's plan for you. It's not always the things that you want to do, and I think that's an important thing that you have to consider with your walk with God. It's not always what you want.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But anyway, anything, man. Do you have anything else? Because man, that was like the beginning, man. That is the beginning, and that's how it started. It got real fun, then real deep, real quick. But man, I want to be open about these things because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that have problems and they suffer because they don't have anybody. Right. Because they don't want to talk about it, because they have these voices in their head saying, "Oh, you should keep this quiet. You can fight it yourself." Man, I tried to fight porn for 15 years, dude, and I couldn't do it. And once I just let God in and gave Him the keys and said, "Lord, I've been trying to fight this all my life." And I say all my life, but for a long time, and I can't do it. Man, just what kind of atmosphere that I was cultivating, right. That's really what kind of changed, and thanks to God, I can say that I don't do I get tempted? Sure, but I don't do that stuff anymore, Right. I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect. That doesn't mean I have other shortcomings. I do get a little angry sometimes. I do get frustrated. I do say some things that I shouldn't. But man, I'm also a person that has real problems and deals with real situations and has a real family with real problems. And so the best that I can do is just make sure that me and God are on the same page and that we're focused, and when we can get out in the woods, we go out in the woods and we just have some quiet time with just me and Him. That's the best that we could hope for, Right. Maybe one day I can be able to hunt for my job. Maybe one day. Be like Steve Ranella.
Steve, if you're listening.
Steve, Remy Warren. I mean, come on, guys. Help me out.
Help us out a little bit.
But anyway, dude, we've been talking for almost 2 hours. But, dude, I have so much enjoyed spending time with you here. And thank you for being open and honest and kind of digging a little bit deeper. And I love you, bro. Like, you're absolutely awesome. I love you and your family, and thank you so much, Sarah. And just, man, I love spending time with you, and you're an absolute great human being, man. I really do appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much. I love you too, and we love your family, man. Y'all mean so much to us, and it's so important to me to be here for you, and I, I love the journey. Yeah, we've been through some rough times, but that just goes to show how great a friendship this is, and man, this is where I want to be. This is where God wants me to be, and Hunter Boys it holds a dear place in my heart, and I'm happy to be a part of it, man.
I really do appreciate it. Well,
and this has been a great first podcast, and
dude, no kidding.
An awesome experience.
Lots of work.
So lots of work.
But before we go, just a couple minutes. If you don't have a relationship with God, or you're maybe wanting to kind of explore that, I really do encourage you to find somebody who has a relationship with God and just start asking them questions and really try to connect with them.
Or reach out to us.
Or reach out to us.
If we're your avenue for God, and that very possibly could be, people may not have people that they can talk to, and you can always reach out to us, and that's what we're here for. We're here to do God's work and witness for Him. So.
Absolutely. So yeah. So if you want to, you can reach out to somebody, or you can reach out to us, and we would love to be able to help you with that. And if you don't have a relationship with God, I really do encourage you just to try it. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's rewarding. It's not perfect, but it's peaceful. Before we go, I'd just like to say a real quick prayer, and then we'll go to sleep. How about that? This coffee's wearing off. But, dear Lord, we're so thankful for today, God. We're so thankful, Lord, that we're in the presence of such awesome friends. They're almost pretty much family at this point. But, God, I just ask you, Lord, to bless them. And, Lord, just touch our viewers, God, and help them through any kind of situations that they might be going through. And Lord, just give them peace and give them hope, God, and give them wisdom to be able to walk through things, Lord. And I just ask you, Lord, just to bless them and keep them safe, God. And Lord, just help us with this week. Help us be able to get through what we're going to have to go through this week, God, and just give us hope and give us love and give us understanding of every single situation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right.
Hunter Boys out.
Oh, man. Turn it off.
Cut. Get that.
Get that one out.